If you could go back in time and just fix some mistakes, if you could change certain moments throughout your life, and you had the chance, you had one opportunity to do so, would you actually? And I know most of you are gonna jump off the gun and say, yeah, I 100% would, because I don't blame you. Like, if I had the opportunity to go back in time and fix like a few mistakes that I've made for the better or for the worse, I would go ahead and do so. Okay, so before I begin the video, I do want to apologize if my voice doesn't sound as great or fantastic as it normally does, as fabulous. I've been sick these past couple of days, so my throat may sound a little bit off, like my voice. To me, this is probably one of the more really criminally underappreciated, underrated like shows, romance-wise, that I have seen in like a while. It's probably one of my favorite shows. I always recommend this to people if you're into the romance genre, if you're into the slice of life type of thing. This is a show I honestly recommend people because it's only one season, it's only 12 episodes, it's really short, and it's really well done. And that's going to be Bokutachi no Remake, also known as Remake or Life. Essentially, the story is kind of like ReZero, where you have a chance to do your mistakes, but in this case, this is not too far in the future, not too far in the past. We follow our main character, Kyoka. He's basically, in the first episode, we jump into the story where he's basically kind of a loser. He works at this video game department, and the company eventually goes bankrupt, and he ends up having to move back home, and he realizes and sits there and thinks, damn, I really wish I could go back in time and do better. Like, he's just kind of a loser at the end of the day. No matter what goals he has, he can't really do anything because his life is already moving forward. He doesn't really have too many friends. All the people that he knows have been fired or don't really have a job of their own. So what does he do? He just kind of sits there and wonders, damn, I really wish I could fix things. Until one day he just wakes up 10 years in the past with the opportunity to go to the school of his dreams and to meet all these famous artists, to meet the platinum generation, which I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was a select group of people that went on to become like famous artists, famous musicians, famous like digital creators, content creators. That's what they went on to become. So it travels back pre-2010 era. This is like, the show takes place like in the 2004 era wise, and it's pretty great. It's really interesting seeing all these characters, all the interactions Kyoka makes throughout like his journey in the show. I really won't spoil too much of what happens, just because I want you guys to actually enjoy this show, because to me, part of the like fun of recommending shows is like having you guys experience this. I won't mention really light spoilers, or they can be considered big spoilers, but yeah, he ends up meeting Shino Aki. He ends up meeting Aiko as I can't remember the name. He ends up meeting Aiko Kasagawa, Nanako Kogure, Sudakiro Konji, a few characters. I'm really terrible about some of the Japanese names, so I do apologize for that. But you get the point. He ends up meeting a lot of cool characters throughout the show. And he ultimately goes to this art school where he can develop, where he can learn to be a programmer, where he can learn to be like a anime manga artist and do things better. Because the school that he goes to, if you're really an art enthusiast, if you're really like someone who's into manga or animation, you will 100% enjoy the show, just because it kind of covers and dives deep into that world of like how getting into the school, how trying to understand like animation and all that school related stuff is kind of difficult, especially back in the early 2000s when animation was just kind of getting to its peak. It was pretty hard, it was pretty competitive, especially in Japan with all these runner-up companies starting and with everyone just like scouting you out. It was pretty difficult during the time, so I really enjoy seeing Kyoka's journey and like how the anime like picks up things and talks about certain stuff, like, oh hey, this animation thing, oh hey, there's a film thing going on, yada yada. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff. Besides that, I really like the cool character interactions and the really interesting like interactions with the main girls such as Shinoaki and Nanako and Aiko, which we really don't get to see too much of Aiko, but Nanako and Shino, we get to see a lot of them, which is always pretty entertaining. Nanako is basically kind of like this idol type of girl. Shino is basically like in the future where Kyoka comes from. She's basically like this famous artist, this famous manga artist, and there's actually a twist when you watch the show. As the story progresses, we get to see, like, even despite him marrying the girl he liked, the girl he admired, it's not for the best. Like, certain things in the future are not the same from the future that he came from. So in order to change that, he has to like relearn his mistakes from the future to change the past, and his mistakes from the past to change the future. And to understand that, he has to figure out, like, what did I do wrong? Maybe some things are never meant to be changed. Maybe some things are meant to be destiny. It's this whole interesting aspect about, does what I do really matter? Should I care about what my actions do to benefit others, or should my actions benefit others rather than benefit me? It's really one of those shows that like dives it's not too deep, but it really like understands the complexity of characters, the human aspect. Besides like the whole story, which I think is pretty fabulous, it doesn't really get enough credit where it's due. There's a lot of cool moments, especially with the family aspects, that I think is pretty cool. The love triangle, I think, isn't really played too much, but it plays to its strengths and weaknesses. It's really, really solid. As far as like the main girl, Shinoaki, honestly, I think she's like one of the better characters. Sure, she's kind of like a fool. She doesn't really know too much, but I really, really enjoy her character. To me, she's kind of like the best girl in the series. I think we can... I froze up. I think we can all agree on that. Like, she's honestly one of the better girls. But yeah, it's really a show that doesn't really get too much attention, which is kind of a shame, because to me, when this show debuted back in 2021, I was really pumped for it. This is a show I kept watching weekly. One of my friends, Eulantius, recommended me this show, which would go check out this channel. He recommends all kinds of shows, brings up topics. But to me, this is one of those shows that is really out there. It's really criminally underrated. It doesn't really go too much into the fantasy, time travel aspect. It just kind of stays more realistic. It doesn't really focus too much on time travel. It just focuses on like the human element. Like, yeah, we all make mistakes, but sometimes those mistakes are there for a reason. Like, mistakes often lead to like good things. And like Yoda once said, the only way to learn is to fail. Failure is the greatest teacher, and which is ultimately true in this series while watching it. That's kind of the main thing I got while finishing the series, that failure is the ultimate teacher. Failure is going to lead us to be someone better. Despite it having good or bad consequences, we get to understand how to be better people. We should be ruining other people's lives for our own motivation. But to me personally, it's one of my favorite shows, favorite romances, just because it explores a lot of elements that just feel more realistic. And it's really of a shame that this show didn't really get a second season. I really enjoyed. To me, this is a show you guys really should enjoy. If you like creative stuff, if you're into anime or manga, if you like that kind of stuff, you will 100% enjoy the show. Anyways, that being said, that's just my quick thoughts on Bokutachi no Remake. It's a really wonderful show, and yeah, go watch it.